another installment of a live stream, but we're doing things a little bit different today because I wanted to have some coverage on really, as everybody knows, Bleacher Report put out a list that contained. Let me see if I can do this. That contained top 100 NBA players last week. Obviously, we covered this a little bit on a live stream, and we touched on it briefly. But I felt like I wanted to kind of have a whole live streaming segment dedicated to this, where we can kind of go over at least the top 10 players of all time. Obviously, this list every year it comes out and it causes a lot of, or every couple of years it comes out and there's always somebody omitted from the list, and it causes a lot of uproar. So I figured, what better time than to kind of discuss the list and then also publish my own list, online as it should be published, because of course I'm always right. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. But before we get into that, everybody, welcome to the page. Like I said, like and subscribe to the page. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I appreciate all of any love out there. But yeah, make sure you subscribe to the page over there on YouTube, as well as my TikTok and other platforms across the avenue. Link is in the bio. So let's get into it. Let's see here. What we got?
What you don't want to do, which you got needed. A nightmare. Kobe, consecutive missed layups. And a foul for Shaquille O'Neal. Dance with three-point play. And that without fouling. If Shaq scores, so be it. Get it back on the other.
Kobe should have not, thrown his bucket, or they have to continue to go one-on-one.
Shaq starts to flash from the weak side of the post. Reach for it down low.
We out here playing volleyball.
O'Neal powering in.
Now that's what they didn't.
O'Neal gets it deep again.
O'Neal
open up on the offensive end. O'Neal inside. Shaquille O'Neal. Jason Williams
All the way.
goes running. O'Neal with the rejection.
There ain't nothing you can do with that.
Dominant performance from Shaquille O'Neal. With 44 points, 21 rebounds, the seventh block, a huge one in the final seconds. And the Lakers.
Jack Daddy right there. Yeah, so let me see here. I'm waiting for some people to get in the room. Before we get started. You guys get together with who you guys think is your top 10. Or, we're going to have an open discussion.
Wade, James for the lead.
I remember this guy.
It's over Pierce. That might be the ticker. And West.
Hey, give me those.
One devastating turnover.
Turn me up, Brian.
14-0 run. A team that couldn't close is going to close two consecutive games. And Wade with 34. Bosh with 14 against Pierce. LeBron. Miami is going to close it out.
Yeah, we're going to wait. Like I said, I'll wait for more people to get in the room. Y'all get together. Everybody join up and put y'all's brains together and get ready to elaborate with me who y'all think the top 10 players is of all time. Obviously I want to discuss the list and stuff, but I'm waiting for more people to get into the room. Let's see who we got here. Oh, we got old Jordan. Obviously, iconic. A little bit dramatic there. Not going to switch the hands there. What we do. All back on? Yes, sir.
basketball, Michael Jordan. Jordan off the double third. Paxson. Yes. A perfect compliment to Jordan, who receives double and triple teams. All he needs to do is slide to the open spot and then.
I have to see about that. Does Timmy make the list? Does Timmy make the top 10? There's a lot of great NBA players out there. There's a lot of great NBA players out there. And I think when you get from range from about 7 to 12 is really condensed. 7 to 12 is really condensed. I think when you get upwards of I think we all know who the number one spot is. I think we all know who the number one spot goes to. The question is like really from that 2 to 6 spot. Who's in that 2 to 6 spot? Where they are in that 2 to 6 spot. But I think most of us obviously know. Jordan to me is obviously the greatest player that we ever seen. Just is what it is. Let me see who else I can get on this thing. I got this reel up. Larry Bird, NBA Finals. Let's see what old Bird got for me. Let's see what old Bird got. See, Bird, let me find some Magic highlights because Bird shit is a little bit, on Twitter at least, it's a little bit grainy. The highlights is a little bit grainy. I'll wait for more people to get in the room. You already know what it is. See if I got any. He said Mike is number one. Yeah, Mike is going to be number one, clearly. Everybody should know. There's no room for error when it comes to who's going to be at number one.
Sensational, dazzling, showtime, faking by Magic.
Maybe the play of the year. Maybe.
The spontaneity that he has and able to pull something like that off.
What a show he can put on for you.
He does it with charisma. He's a sensational basketball player.
Magic underneath the Wilkes. What a pass!
Look at that today. I don't believe it.
That's highlight material.
I'll say it is.
What a pass!
And that was
Y'all bear with me. Hold on.
Captain Wolfman's trying to do. Sean Living. Plenty of time for Kobe Bryant.
Not just give up. Well, what's Mike Conley think? I mean, what else can you do? Some of those are bad shots.
Most of them are bad shots. For anybody else, Clippers down by 10. There's still time. 5:47 to go. But this guy's still out there for the Lakers.
And he hasn't rested. And I think as he makes this shot, I think Phil Jackson doesn't get enough credit for his decision to leave him on the floor to start the fourth. After his 18-point third quarter, he said, I think he's got it going. He stayed with him, and it proved to be decisive so far.
I'd like to guard Kobe Bryant when he had 5 fouls. That's what Captain Wolfley's trying to do. Sean Livingston has the ball. One of the surest handles in the game. They get it back to Mobley. Clippers down by 1. For Kobe Bryant.
Not just give up. Well, what's Mike Conley think? I mean, what else can you do? Some of those are bad shots.
Most of them are bad shots. For anybody else, Clippers down by 10. There's still time. 5:47 to go. But this guy's still out there for the Lakers.
And he hasn't rested. And I
think I'm about ready. To go ahead. So Lane asked, what is the criteria? We need some sort of criteria. Well, Bleacher Report's criteria, obviously, it's going to be accolades It's going to be accomplishments, accolades, longevity, stats, and then impact, and influence on the game. So that's kind of the criteria there. I think for me, accolades is a little bit more black and white. It's a little bit more. There's a little bit more like gray area with accolades because you got to give air attacks. Like for instance, if we're talking accolades, you got somebody like a Bill Russell or a Wilt Chamberlain, and I can make two different points for these players too. Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain, like Bill Russell has 11 rings. We all know that, right? Now I have to grade it on the curve. I have to. I'm not one of those guys that completely omit Bill Russell or Wilt Chamberlain because of their era, but I do understand that I have to grade them on the curve because during their tenure in the NBA, it was a developing league. And I know some Bron fans out there attack Michael Jordan because they call his era the expansion era. But if we use that metric, then Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain is going to have a long day because you talk about expansion era. There was literally maybe 8 teams in the league during Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain's era. So, yeah, Bill ran off a lot of titles and won off a lot consecutive. But I have to grade that on the curve. You know what I'm saying? That's essentially him going to the finals is essentially like winning a second round series in today's NBA. But on the flip side of that, they were awarded, but there were some awards like they weren't keeping track of blocks. They weren't keeping track of certain defensive metrics and stuff back then. So if they had those honors back in the day, Bill Russell could be running around with 10 Defensive Player of the Year awards, right? Wilt Chamberlain could be running around with all types of stats and stuff that he weren't tracking. There's a legitimate claim out there that Wilt Chamberlain might have been averaging close to 10 blocks a game sometimes. He said Bron stole Rookie of the Year. Write that down. Yeah, Bron definitely stole that from Melo. So again, my criteria, I think to me, number one on my criteria is skill, basketball skill. Like meaning, if I throw you in any era, any given time, if the aliens came down and said, "Give me your top 10 hoopers that you've seen with your eyes," who are we getting, right? And so skills is number one for me. That's my number one accolade. And then accolades, impact. And when I say accolades, that includes championships, right? And I hate this new era where people think that championships don't matter. And I hate the whole idea where it's all or nothing. People say, well, if championships matter, then why ain't Robert Horry? No, it's a combination of both, guys, right? And if we're splitting hairs, then championships is definitely going to be brought up as it could be a deciding factor. If you got somebody that ain't winning shit or only won minimal championships versus, and you're comparing them, you're going up against somebody that's won a lot and done a lot as well, then that person with the championship should get the edge, right? It's pretty simple. So I don't want people coming in here with like this all or nothing kind of mentality. Use some gray area, use some common sense, and understand it's a combination of all of these things. Your impact on the game, your impact on winning, your influence on the game, your influence on winning. Again, accolades to me is up there, but it's not so much up there because another difference in the NBA is that back in the early 70s and 80s, players used to be able to vote on these awards, right? And now it's like a media-driven kind of thing. Now you got journalists, Bleacher Report, all these different kind of fractions into the NBA where they now control a lot of the NBA's destiny. They control your accolades and stuff like that, voting on all NBA appearances, MVP appearances and stuff. That is a voted thing on by media members. So it's a little bit different. Like Kareem has 6 MVPs. But again, like back then, players were able to vote on these awards. So again, accolades to me is graded on a curve as well because it's very skewed, very, very, very skewed. But if you guys are ready, let's go ahead and get into it, man. Let's go ahead and get into it. Where is all my stuff? Okay, so I'm gonna start, and I'm gonna just go down from. Well, actually, let me read. We're gonna where am I at? Let me get to Bleacher Report's top 10, and then I'll unleash mine, and then we'll be pretty good from there. Come on. All right. So Bleacher Report's top 10. Let me share my screen. I'm gonna share my screen here. All right, we're here. Please don't tell me, oh my God, it wants me to do this again. Yeah, so we're going to cover Bleacher Report's top 10 again, and then we'll get into my top 10. All right. We're almost there. We in the teens. Here we go. All right, so coming in at number 10, we got Stephen Curry at number 10 on Bleacher Report's top 10. He cracked in the top 10. His accolades read as 4-time champion, 2-time MVP, 1-time Finals MVP, 11-time All-Star, 11 All-NBA, 2-time scoring champ, 1-time steal champs. Career stats: 25, 4, and 6, 1.5 steals, 47%, 42 from 3, which is crazy. And then they cite a lot of his influence, obviously facing off against one of the greatest players of all time in LeBron James in many finals. He's the greatest shooter, I think, bar none. I don't think there's no argument from anybody that Stephen Curry's the greatest shooter ever. So they got him in at number 10, right? Wilt Chamberlain at number 9. Obviously, we know his accolades read as 2-time champion, 4-time MVP, 1-time Finals MVP, which is funny to me because with Wilt here, you have a case where Kobe and Curry get discredited for certain rings that they won. Meanwhile, Wilt has 2 champions, 1 Finals MVP. So one finals he shouldn't be credited for, using everybody else's narrative. Now, he did look, you got to see his accolades. His accolades are crazy. 7 scoring titles. Also averaging for a career 30 points, 23 rebounds, 4 assists, 54%. That's hard to argue. Somebody averaging that for a career, 30 points and 23 rebounds for your career, is ridiculous. But obviously, like I said at the top, we gotta apply some air attacks. We have to apply some air attacks. Then coming in at number 8, they got Larry Bird. I love me some Larry Bird. I think he's actually become underrated over the spans of generations. People really don't understand that during that time, at the height of a Magic Johnson, even Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Isaiah Thomas, Moses Malone, and Dr. J, and all that, Larry Bird had a case as the best player in the league for a 4 or 5 year run. Even when Magic might have won a championship here and there, it was between him and Bird were going back and forth, and Bird held a crown for a good period of time as the best player in the league. And to me, I don't want to really reveal my list just yet, but I will say, as far as skill set and weaknesses or lack thereof, I think Bird lacks more weaknesses in his skill set and in his game than Magic Johnson does. Now, Magic may have accomplished more. We'll get to that when I get to my list, but I just think that Larry Bird, if you sat him down in any era, could get the job done. And what's funny with Larry is a lot of people, I got a comment on Facebook. Let me see. A lot of people, used to say, "Oh, Larry wouldn't be this, Larry wouldn't be that," in today's game. But you see people like Jokic dominating, and you see people like Luka Doncic dominating in today's game. So it's like Larry could easily be, either one of those guys, fairly easy. Then coming in at number 6, Mr. Fundamental himself, Tim Duncan, 5-time champion, 2-time MVP, 3 times Finals MVP. You see all the NBA, all-star, all defense, 19 and 11 for your career, 3 assists, 2 blocks, 50%. Never missed the playoffs, yada, yada, yada. Tim Duncan was really, really great, right? Somebody that could be underrated or overrated. And then you got Shaq in at number 6, 4-time champion, 1-time MVP, 3-time Finals MVP. Now, we know early on, Shaq was robbed of some MVPs, and him and Kobe suffered from, and a lot of my viewers would understand this because they're young enough to remember this era, but LeBron James and Dwayne Wade, when they teamed up, LeBron did win 2 MVPs, or Steph Curry and KD, right? When they teamed up, it ruined their chances. They had to split MVP votes, right? So that's essentially what happened with Kobe and Shaq during their era. Duncan won some, KG won some, Allen Iverson won some, but they were penalized for playing with each other, right? So Shaq should have maybe 1 or 2 more MVPs. He has 3 Finals MVPs. We know he dominated in the NBA Finals. So That is what it is for Shaq. Bill Russell coming in at number 5. Like I said, there's a lot of air attacks that I'm going to get in when I say my list. Magic Johnson at number 4. Obviously, probably the greatest playmaker we've ever seen. He's won 5 championships. He's won 3 finals MVPs, 3 MVPs. He's a 12-time All-Star. And Magic had a short career. He played 13 seasons, won 5 titles in 13 seasons. He went to, I want to say 10 titles or 9 finals in 13 seasons, right? Outside of him catching HIV and fucking around with Isaiah Thomas and kissing boys and shit like that, Magic could have a case. He could have a case. I mean, if we didn't get Magic being hindered by, not drugs, but HIV, he could have a case as a top 2, 3 player, right? And where am I at? Then you got coming in at number 3, his teammate, the captain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 6-time champion, 6-time MVP. He actually has more MVPs than Michael Jordan. A lot of people don't really cite that, but he has just as many championships, just more MVPs. But he does have significantly less finals MVPs, which I think is funny again, because like I said, with the Wilt Chamberlain thing, even the Bird thing, it's like, you won 2 finals MVPs, you won 6 championships, so you should be discredited by everybody else's metric. They do it with Kobe and Curry. Since you weren't finals MVPs, we shouldn't count 4 of your titles, right? I don't believe it works like that, but that's how some people seem to believe it works like. He has 19 All-Star appearances, which I think was the most of all time until LeBron broke that. 11 All-Defensives, Rookie of the Year, 2 scoring titles, 24, 11, 3, and 2 for a career. Excellent, right? Then you got LeBron James at number 2. 4-time champion, 4-time Finals MVP, 4-time regular season MVP, 21-time All-Star NBA record, 21 All-NBA appearances NBA record, All-Defensive 6 times, 1 scoring title, 1 assist title, and 27, 7-7 for your career, 50%, 35%, 22-year career, outstanding. Then coming in at number 1, obviously, is the GOAT, right? You got Michael Jordan, 6-time champion, 5-time MVP, 6-time Finals MVP, 11 All-Star. Jordan played 15 years and he just dominated. That's just essentially what it was. 10 scoring titles. He just shut the league down. It's just what it does. There's no argument for me when it comes to Michael Jordan. Now, that's Bleacher Report's list, right? Obviously, they made a lot of headlines, a lot of headway because, yes, Magic. He said Magic was kissing boys. Of course he was. He was kissing. Magic and Isaiah used to kiss before the games and shit like that at half court, at center court. They used to kiss before tip-off, and they used to hang out, and they had a little relationship, man. Magic and Isaiah did, and I'm just saying it's rumored that Magic like to fiddle around and stuff. Now, he did get down with the Playboy Mansion and all that stuff over in LA, but Hollywood. But, I'm just saying HIV don't come out of nowhere, right? And that's my take on it. But I want to go ahead and start getting to my list, and then we can kind of discuss what you guys think. I want y'all to drop comments on what y'all think. People over there viewing on Facebook, please tap into my YouTube channel. I'm about to drop the link on my how do I get this link? I'm about to drop the link on my Facebook page so you guys can tap in. Copy link. Give me 1 second, guys. Bear with me, and then we're going to release this list. I do want to copy my YouTube page so you guys can comment over there that's watching on via Facebook. Copy link, copy link, copy link. Bear with me. Got it. All right. So while I wait for people to do that, he said, you don't slander Isaiah Thomas. No, Isaiah Thomas is one of the greatest players of all time as well. I think he's become underrated. See, with Zeke, people got to remember that Zeke won 2 NBA titles, and this is in the 80s, right? And this is when Magic and Bird is outside. This is when Kareem is outside. This is when Moses Malone is outside. Julius Erving Dr. J's outside. There are some great teams in the 80s, some great dynasty teams in the 80s. Hakeem is coming up. Jordan is coming up. There's a lot of greatness going on in that era. And I know a lot of young people act like it wasn't happening. It was plumbers and all this stuff. But no, there was a lot of great dynastic teams in the 80s, right? And Zeke was able to win 2 titles, back-to-back titles too. And he beat Magic, and he beat a great Portland team. And I think he went to 3. So Zeke was able to sneak out 3. And it's not like, see, with Chris Paul, because I know the conversation is between Chris Paul and Isaiah Thomas. And I got Isaiah Thomas over Chris Paul just due to production. Isaiah Thomas has great production. He was a better defender. Lou says Steve Francis at my 2, Dikembe Mutombo at my 1, Maurice Rice at my 4, and Kobe at my 5. Well, shout out to you, brother. I think you're naming some Chinese players. I'm not real familiar with all of them. I think you're trying to say Mutombo. I'm not sure, but or I think I kind of feel like you're trolling me because ain't no way Steve Francis is at your 2 and Kobe's at 5. I mean, stop it. That's delusional. But I mean, shout out to you in the chat. But yeah, I got Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas is fringe top 20 to me, top 15 and top 20, that range. I think on the Bleacher Report list, they did list him in at number 26 or 25. I think he's a little bit higher. They had, I think, from the day we know we had Kobe at 11, Hakeem at 12, KD at 13. Then you got Jerry West, and then I think you got somebody like KG, Jokic, Dirk, and I can't remember who else rounds out the top 20. Maybe at Isaiah Thomas, maybe Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade was at 23. Can't remember who rounds out the top 20. Let's go see who rounds out the top 20 actually. While I wait for people to get in the chat on YouTube. So obviously LeBron's at 1. I want to say I can't remember who rounded out the top 20. Like I said, we got Kobe at 11, which is obviously the sticking out like a sore thumb on this list. I think this is how they sell this list. I don't get too upset with it. Hakeem at 12, Durant at 13. You got Oscar Robinson at 14. Can't forget the big O. Jerry West at 15. Can't argue with that. KG at 16. You got Jokic at 17. And if Jokic somehow wins another title, like in his prime in the next couple of years, man, he's going to be in the top 15 to 10 to 15 range, anywhere in between that slot. In fact, I think if Jokic wins another title, along with all his MVPs and more stats and crazy triple doubles that he does, I think I can make the case he's greater than Kevin Durant. That's me. And I'm not as high. I feel like KD slides on my list more because I just don't like the way he did it. I don't like the way he did it. But the difference between him and Bron is like Bron did it. Bron tried to cheat the game and stuff, but Bron was able to keep going. And Bron, no matter what you got to say about Bron and if you like his moves or not, he still had success everywhere he went. And he maintained that level of power in the league to where he was still winning wherever he went. He won in LA, he won in Miami, he won in Cleveland. KD has just like kind of fallen off a cliff when it comes to that. He said, where's Malone? If you're talking about Karl Malone or Moses Malone, I think Karl Malone rounds out the top 20 actually. So let's see, Jokic, Dirk at 18, David Robinson at 19. David Robinson has become underrated over time too. I think David Robinson has 3 titles. He has 2 titles. Dr. J. In fact, I think Dr. J is severely underrated. And in fact, I was just thinking today, I think Dr. J, to me personally, just his accolades, read and stuff, he might be greater than KD. Let's see, because they're not counting. I don't know if they're counting his ABA stats, and it's kind of weird with him and Moses Malone and some other players and stuff that played in the ABA, and they don't get that counted for. So. In the actual NBA, he's a one-time NBA champion, but he did win 2 titles in the ABA. So basically a 3-time champion, 4-time MVP. You know what I'm saying? He's averaging for a career 24, 8, and 4, 2 steals and almost 2 blocks. That, 16 seasons. So, and he's one of the most influential players ever. He really has 30,000 points when you combine, over 30,000 points when you combine his ABA tenure and NBA tenure. He's won 4 MVPs. So Dr. J has become severely underrated, and I think a lot of that is just due to the way the NBA credits his career and splitting it up with the ABA. And then you got at number 21, Moses Malone. So they got him over Karl Malone. Karl Malone at 22, and so for Dwayne Wade at 23. Kawhi will come up soon, I'm sure. The list goes on. Charles Barkley. The list goes on and on, yada, yada, yada. So Lane says Karl should be top 14. Karl Malone, I don't think he should be top 14. Now, he does have 36,000 points, so people pretend to act like Karl Malone wasn't getting buckets. Karl Malone was getting buckets. And people act like Jordan played against plumbers and all these whack people. You got to realize that Jordan faced off against a Utah team twice that had Karl Malone, who has 36,000 points. That's third most all time. That's more points than Kobe, more points than Jordan, more points than Dirk, more points than Wilt, more points than Shaq, more points than Duncan, more points than KD, more points than Curry. Karl Malone has significantly more points than some of those players that I named. So Karl Malone was no scrub at all. We just kind of wrote him out of history because we didn't like a lot of his antics and some of that freaky ass shit that he was doing. But Karl Malone won a couple MVPs, a couple scoring titles, and he did this during the Jordan era. Karl Malone, it was a great player. And then you couple that with somebody like John Stockton, who's the all-time assist leader by a long shot. You know what I'm saying? All-time steals leader by a long shot. All defensive, perennial all defensive player, perennial best playmaker in the league after Magic Johnson retired. You know what I'm saying? So they had a great team there over in Utah. He said, and they was getting to the finals. Yeah, if it wasn't for Jordan, man, they could very well be, had 2 titles, right? And they had to go through a rough, rugged West too during that time as well, going up against Hakeem and the Spurs with David Robinson and the Seattle Sonics and Charles Barkley and them boys out in Phoenix. They in Portland and stuff like that. It was a good league back then, more balanced league. So I think the case can maybe be Karl. I can't say he's top 14 by no stretch. Zach said, glad Michael Jordan was one on their list, forever an MJ fan. Yeah, Zach went to see Michael Jordan. So that rounds off the top 20. Let's get into my list, and we're gonna start down from 10, and we're gonna go from there. So for me personally, coming in at my number 10 is Mr. Hakeem Olajuwon. Mr. Hakeem Olajuwon. Oh, why is okay? I don't know why Shaq's in the corner there. Let me remove that. But yeah, I got Hakeem at my 10 slot. And really, this is subject to change. I'm really torn between him and Curry. I feel like Curry might be able to edge him next year. And I know Curry has more titles. I think they have the same amount of MVPs. All right. Hakeem has more finals MVPs. But I just feel like Hakeem's stretch where he won those 2 titles. Now, granted, somebody can make the case, and a lot of people do make the case, that Hakeem only won those titles because Jordan was sitting down playing baseball. And, when they got the bitch golf. When was this? Y'all gonna have to bear with me. Hold on. I'll have to read that later. But yeah, Hakeem did win 2 titles back to back when Jordan was playing baseball. So you can make that case. If I'm a Curry fan, I would lean on that case a lot. Obviously, people will rebut that with the fact that Curry was able to win 2 championships after going and getting KD. But Curry also does have 2 championships outside of KD. So it's hard to really make a case against Curry outside of your top 10, especially if you're replacing him with somebody like Hakeem. But I just think when you accumulate defense and offensive prowess and ability, and that's really Curry's glaring deficiency to me is his defense. Everybody else on here that I'm going to name either has won more, has been awarded more, or they're just better 2-way players all around. You know what I'm saying? And they really weren't hunted out on defense like that. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of matters to me. And I'm always been a fan of 2-way players over just like a scorer or just a passer. I tend to lean more towards 2-way players more than any other kind of prototype of player. So me, I got Hakeem at number 10 on my list. Like I said, two championships. He went to 3. I think he went to 1 early on in his career, faced the legendary Celtics team. A young Hakeem Olajuwon took on the Larry Bird, Kevin McHale Celtics team. He did come up short, but he had a really good finals even in that run. And his run to get to the finals, he played really, really fucking good. Hakeem has really great playoff stats, and he has some of the most bizarre playoff stats you will ever read. I'm talking about one of the only players with like 5-5-5-5s. Like he'll have 30 points, 20 rebounds, 8 assists, 8 blocks, and 5 steals. Crazy shit like that, where he's affecting the game all across the board. So to me, I think that I got Hakeem, and he just absolutely, in the 2 finals runs he had, but particularly the one against Shaq, he just absolutely dominated. He took out he kept all his competition that year in an MVP in David Robinson. He destroyed he beat the Utah Jazz with Karl Malone and them boys. Then he took out a young Shaquille O'Neal and Penny Hardaway. And he just embarrassed Shaq. And then he also beat Patrick Ewing. So all the centers at that time had to kneel and kiss the ring when it comes to Hakeem Olajuwon. And then he also Hakeem early on in his career, en route to get into the finals, he took out the Los Angeles Lakers, right? With a Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So I think the competition he was styked with and faced with, and coming out the way he did with 2 titles, 3 finals appearances, hella Defensive Player of the Year awards, mad stats and stuff like that, he comes in at my number 10. That's just me. Now at number 9, I do have Mr. Russell. That's my number 9. I got Bill Russell at number 9 on this list. And, it's really hard with Bill and Wilt for me because as much as I want to admit them from the greatest 10 players, because kind of what I said earlier, where I weigh skill set higher on my list than anything, definitely Bill don't meet this criteria. He does not meet the criteria of being one of the 10 most skilled basketball players I've ever seen. Not even close. He said, and how he was fasting. Yeah, Hakeem was practicing Ramadan while he was tearing people the fuck up. He was tearing y'all up while he ain't had nothing to eat but a damn banana or a plantain. But Bill Russell, man, you just 11 titles and then 2 more as a player coach. And just that era that he dominated the civil rights movement, all the racism and he was, faced with all this while playing in Boston, right? So when you just think of the life and times of Bill Russell and his career and kind of what he did for the sport and what he did for sports in general, he was one of those forefathers in getting equal rights for African Americans, especially in the entertainment field and in the sport and play world. You think of the dominance he had over the league as far as winning titles. Now, again, I do apply some air attacks with Bill Russell and say, he did this in a time where there was 12 teams and they was playing minimum playoff games. But on the flip side, I got to add that he was also winning these titles, flying coach, without the facilities that we have, playing back-to-backs and tape delays and just different. It was a different time for these players. They weren't these, $50 million players. They were not paid as well as these players obviously are today. And just for the love of the sport. And Bill Russell was dominant, right, in his own right, as far as he dominated his matchup with Wilt Chamberlain. Now, some people read the stats and just say, oh, Wilt was still averaging 30. But you got to remember, Wilt, in years, Wilt was putting up 44 points a game and 37 points a game or 50 points a game. One year he averaged 50 points a game. But when you face off against Russell, that average came down to around 30 points a game. So, granted, 30 points a game is great for anybody else. But when you're talking about a Wilt Chamberlain who was used to averaging 40 and 50 points a game, that's a 10-point drop-off when facing your stiffest competition. So I have to give credit where it's due. He would have had mad Defensive Player of the Year awards if that was kind of an accolade during the time. They weren't really tracking blocks during the time. Who's to say he could? His career stats could average as 15 points, 23 rebounds, and 8 blocks a game, which would be crazy, right? So you can obviously make the case for him being the greatest defender in NBA history by a long shot. So 11 titles, all the MVPs that he won, what he did outside of basketball, how he influenced the actual game of basketball and expanded it. He comes in at my number 9. Just is what it is. Then here at number, where are we at? At number 8. At number 8, they trying to hate. Hold on. They trying to hate. Give me a second, guys. They took off my number 8. They trying to hate on my number 8. What's up with that? All right. Coming in at number 8 for me, Larry Legend. You know, what can y'all say? I got Larry Legend at number 8 on my list. Obviously, three titles, 5 appearances. He did this in a small span. Larry wasn't around for a long time. He played 13 years as well. Wasn't around for a long time. His back kind of got shot towards the end and stuff. But during his peak, man, I mean, you could make a case. There's not many greater peaks in the NBA than Larry Bird. He won 3. He's the last player to win 3 straight. Now, Jokic could have, but they didn't award him it. But Larry Bird, like I said, in the middle of the 80s, while there's a Magic outside and a Kareem outside and all these players I listed, even a young Jordan, Larry Bird rolled off 3 straight MVPs in the league, right? 3 straight back-to-back MVPs. Not to mention he kind of ushered in the era of the 50-40-90 club, where you're shooting 50% from the field, 40 from 30, and 90. And I mean, who's to say what kind of, if they were shooting threes how they are today, what kind of points Larry would have had, averages he would have had, percentage he would have had. Because you got to remember, you know, the three-point revolution wasn't around when Larry was first coming in. So that he kind of helped usher the 3-point era in. He was known for a long time until you get your Reggie Millers and Ray Allens and Currys of the world as the greatest shooter, you know, one of the greatest shooters that the game had ever seen. But he was also and Larry was a two-way player, more than people give him credit for. He made a couple all-defensive teams. Larry would get into passing lanes. Larry, you know, obviously one of his most iconic plays is that steal he had in the Garden, in TD Garden, against the Boston Celtics, right, in the Eastern Conference Finals. Where he steals the ball underneath the basket and gives it to DJ Dennis Johnson for the layup, and then they win the game and they win that series. Ultimately, go on to win that series. And Larry faced off against a legend. He had a legendary rival, a legendary opponent he faced off with against Magic Johnson. The stats is there. He's over 25,000 points for his career. He averaged 10 rebounds for a career, which I always said Larry's one of the greatest rebounding forwards there is in league history, because you got to think LeBron James is averaging 7 rebounds a game. I think LeBron is kind of on the lower tier, although, you know, when you read 7 rebounds for somebody that's not a center, you go, that's pretty decent. But when I think of forwards, Larry Bird was averaging 10 rebounds, 20, 25, 24 points for a career, 10 rebounds. And like Lane just said here, I'm glad he brought it up. Larry was clutch too and shit-talking legend. Yeah, Larry was clutch as hell. Larry was the most feared shot maker during that time, right? Until Jordan's reign. Larry was known as the shot making king. I mean, I wish I had some of his highlights up above, but Larry was a shot making king, man. He shot all types of crazy shots, and he wasn't afraid, and he had absolutely no conscience. And I love players that have no conscience. He didn't care how many he missed before, what kind of shot it was. He was fully confident in getting the shot off anytime he wanted. And it kind of seemed like with Larry that a lot of times he would just toy with kind of the defenders. We know the legendary story of Larry kind of playing, saying he was saving his right hand for the Lakers, and he decided to play a game left-handed and proceeded to score 47 points. So Larry I love players that are really good, that they're able to kind of do certain shit like that. And this is why I don't on a Libra scale, I don't weigh stats so much. Now, you got to have the stats. You got to have the accolades to even get in this class and be able to sit in this rare air. But when we're nitpicking these guys, stats kind of come in, but not as much, because there's certain shit that I know about these players that they reel back. See, a lot of players are different. Somebody like a James Harden, he was during his prime, he was actively trying his hardest. He was using 100% of his motor to score 36 points a game, right? When I think of somebody like a Kobe Bryant or a Larry Bird, I personally seen Kobe omit certain stats just for the hell of it. It wasn't about stats for him. Phil Jackson wouldn't even allow that. Michael Jordan had to sacrifice a lot of his stats as well too. And we know this is documented history for these two players and a lot of these players. And then we go back and try to like use revisionist history and act like they weren't who they were. They couldn't have done what James Harden. They couldn't have. You know, Michael Jordan could have easily had this all-time scoring record, guys. Easily. Quite frankly, easily. He's the he could have well over the 41,000 point mark if he wanted to stick around, and if that's what he was chasing. He would have hawked Kareem down easily. Kobe, same thing. If Kobe got to play his first couple of years, and then if he wasn't riddled with injuries his last couple of years, he was on pace of breaking that record, right? So I don't waste stats that much because I know a lot of these guys, they were in it for like actual championships. And when you're having a championship run, if you notice, players that are on actual championship runs, that those seasons, they usually try to somehow balance individual success with the team success. And a lot of that leads to them sacrificing a lot of their personal stats. And sometimes they got the hot hand going, but they bust the team's head open by the second half of the third quarter, and they sit out all fourth quarter. But if you're like really just kind of chasing stats and regular season accolades, you might play the whole fourth quarter and get you another 10, 15 points in. And there it goes, helps your average, helps, all that stuff down the list. So a lot of these players, like I think of Larry and stuff like that, man, he was in it for titles. He was in it for winning. Larry wasn't around here trying to he could have been the triple-double king if he wanted to. So, yeah, I got Larry in at number 8 on my list. And then coming in at number 7 on my list. Who y'all think I got in number 7? Who y'all think I got in number 7? For me, at number 7 goes the Diesel. I got the Diesel in at number 7. I do got him over Larry. He did win one more title than Larry won. He won more finals MVP than Larry. He does have just one MVP versus Larry having 3 MVPs. But obviously we know, the elephant in the room, no pun intended, when it comes to Shaq is he was clearly the most dominant player in the league in the early 2000s, right? He absolutely dominated the NBA Finals. And we've never even seen, even with, I would say the 90 to 93 Jordan is the best 3-year stretch we've ever seen in a playoff performer, right? NBA Finals performer, I should say. 90 to 93, you got Jordan averaging 33 points, 11 assists in his first NBA Finals. Then he averages 5 points in the next finals, and then he averages 43 in his third final. So I think over that 3-year period, you're talking about a Jordan averaging 37 points, 36.5 points a game with maybe 7 rebounds and 8 assists over that stretch. So outside of the 90 to 93 Jordan, there's not a greater 3-year stretch in the NBA Finals run that we've seen than Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal from 2000 to 2002 absolutely wiped the floor with NBA Finals competition. Destroyed him. Now, with Shaq, he should, the thing with Shaq is really funny is because he should come in way higher on these lists, right? Shaq could have really had a claim. There's no reason Shaq shouldn't be higher than somebody like a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on these lists, right? But he just wasn't able to sustain greatness for a long extended period of time. I think Shaq played 19 years, and at the end, it was pretty bad. He went from team to team to team. He started the Rainbow Coalition of NBA players where it was just like Shaq's worn all these different jerseys. He looks like a rainbow. And when you look at his career accolades, it's going to be a Suns jersey, a Celtics jersey, a Cavs jersey, a Magic jersey, a Lakers jersey, a this jersey, or that jersey. But, you think of those 3-year periods against the Indiana Pacers, the Sixers, and the Nets. He was literally ragdolling defenders and centers in the league. Now, granted, it wasn't the 90s, and that's where Shaq kind of tailors off a little bit for me. And then I also seen Shaq get outplayed by Duncan a couple series, and head up. He couldn't really fuck with Duncan. But let me see, Shaq Finals. But I can't deny it. You think, let me see here. You think of some of his finals averages over that period of time. We're talking 36 points a game, 15 rebounds, 4 blocks. We're talking 32 points a game, 15 rebounds, 3 blocks, 4 assists. We're talking 38 points a game in the first finals. I think he averaged 38 points a game in his first finals. So it's hard to make a case against he said Shaq was a horrible Celtic. It's hard to make a case against Shaq, right, in your top 10. Obviously, I don't think anybody's going to make a case. I've seen some lists without Shaq in their top 10, but that's a silly case to make. Shaq that for that 3-year period. And then obviously he has a whole career outside of the 3-year period that we're talking about. Shaq was really good in 2004. Shaq did win another ring in 2006. In the regular season, he was pretty good, one of the top 5 best players in the league still at the time. Now he did get carried in that finals, but Shaq also has a finals in 95. And Shaq, if I'm Shaq and I'm Shaq's team, which I don't think he really has a team, he said, and we were in ring mode too, shaking my head, he could have stole one. Yeah, he wasn't beating Kobe. That was the year y'all lost to the Miami Heat, actually, but Shaq is the only one that can say this out loud. Shaq is the last player to beat Michael Jordan in the NBA in a playoff series. You guys do realize that Jordan, from 89 to when he retired in 2003. Now, he didn't make the playoffs in 2003 or anything, but the whole 90s decade, and he did retire, but the whole 90s decade, Jordan did not lose outside of one series. I mean, I'm not saying he didn't lose. He did not lose one series besides this to Shaq. So if I'm Shaq, I'm leaning on the fact that I took Jordan out. I'm the only player in that era to ever beat Jordan. There's no Hakeem beating Jordan. There's no David Robinson, no Patrick Ewing, no Reggie Millers, no John Starks, no John Stockton, no Magic Johnson, no Clyde Drexlers, no Penny Hardaway. None of those players that dominated, no Charles Barkley, none of those players in the 90s, Gary Payton, they couldn't get the job done. Shaq was able to get a series, and he's the only blemish on Jordan's 90s run. So, hey, what can you say? I'm about to share my screen and just kind of show people, because I don't think people really understand how dominant Shaq was. Man, you have to see just how dominant is the way he was dominant.
Handle. And here's Shaq.
I mean, it's just paint points and this double team. And you got the defensive player of the year right there to put in the Thunder. But there's nothing you can do with it. 7'2" man, 300, 400 pounds. Look at him. Look. And you like, come on, man. He's destroying the defensive player of the year. Look at him. He's abusing him. It's your abuse. Get it off the rim. And, that's why he's known as the most dominant player we've ever seen, because there's nothing you can do. Nothing you can do with Shaquille O'Neal. Look at this. Oh, my God. I don't think y'all seeing this. I don't think y'all are seeing this NBA. Look. 3 guys. Drop step. Power. Tomahawk. Tomahawk. I mean, these are buckets on the defensive player of the year. I mean, what can you say, man? What can you say, man? That's Shaquille O'Neal, man. That's Shaquille O'Neal. So yeah, he comes in at number 7 for me. A great career, 19-year career, just a 3-year stretch that we had not seen since a prime Michael Jordan. And he said, damn, Shaq, what a badass. Yeah, Shaq was a badass. And then you think, I mean, he literally changed the NBA. He's literally abusing that, man. He literally changed the NBA, man. I'm talking about he got hella centers paid. I'm talking about 7-foot bums. You guys got to remember the early NBAs. Go remember your earliest NBA games, right? There was a lot of white, big, country, corn-fed centers in the league getting paid just to alleviate the starting center, giving them a breather, right? But during the Shaq era, I mean, you had to have 3 centers. I mean, 3 legit 7-foot to 300-pound centers on your team just for fouls, right? And speaking of fouls, that's the real big knock that I do have on Shaq, is that when you're talking about somebody that completely is leading your franchise, because I would kill for a Shaq career without Kobe, because a lot of people want to, the Kobe Shaq thing, which we'll get into later. But, does Shaq have the ultimate success in his career unless he has somebody like a Kobe or a Kyrie Irving, somebody that can close games for him? Because, man, a lot of people just gloss over the fact that during that period, Shaq was known as the worst free throw shooter in the universe, right? There was all types of jokes and stuff out there and pop culture about Shaq and his big hands and his ineptability at the free throw line. And free throws literally win you championships. And a lot of people try to act like the Lakers just destroyed their competitions and stuff like that. And a lot of times, sometimes we did. Like in 2001, we wiped the floor with everybody. But when you actually look at the game-to-game basis, a lot of those games came down to the wire, and it took young Kobe Bryant closing it out, whether it be with free throws. Even the Indiana series in 2000, Kobe had to close that out from the line. The 2002 NBA Finals against the New Jersey Nets, Kobe Bryant had to close that out. And it's hard to say what Shaq would have been able to do because his lack of free throws, the hack of Shaq methods, Phil Jackson having to put him on the bench, and Shaq used to foul out a lot of big games too. So that's why I got him in at number 7. He could have been higher. That's the knock on Shaq, is that he did not get the most out of his career. But I do got Shaq at 7. Who do y'all think I got ahead of Shaq? Who do y'all think I got ahead of Shaq? Coming in at number 6 for me, I got Mr. Fundamental himself, Timmy D. That's just me. I got Timmy D at number 6. I could flop him or Shaq, just depending on the way I feel. And I think skill set wise, I would have Hakeem over Duncan. But Duncan had the skill set, he had the fundamentals, and then he also had the production. He's universally known as the greatest power forward to ever exist. And I just think over a 19-year career, never missing the playoffs, winning 50 games, I think in all his seasons, even in lockout seasons, Duncan was winning 50 games, which is crazy, right? And I think he's the model of consistency. Him and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar are just the model of consistency, but Duncan to another level because he never missed the playoffs, right? Even Kareem missed the playoffs in his prime. Kareem had some highs and lows, but Duncan was pretty solid all throughout his career. Now, I will say Duncan falls short to me because I think his peak was very short. I think Duncan's peak was from 2009 to 2005. And then after 2005, you get a different version of Duncan. You get kind of like either the second best player on the team, Duncan, or even later on in his career, the third and fourth best player on his team. So I do kind of have to give him I have to put some tax on that for that reason, because a lot of people try to pick on Kobe and Curry, like I said at the top, for not winning all the Finals MVP. But Duncan has 5 titles, and I think he has 3 Finals MVP. So 2 of those titles he went in the Final MVP. And you can seriously make the case he stole a Finals MVP away from Manu Ginobili. And a lot of people think that that's not just one of those Dwayne Wade saying that Paul Gasol should have won takes. No. Manu Ginobili in the 2005 Finals averaged 19 points. Duncan averaged 20. Manu shot better from the field all across the board. Effective field goal percentage, free throw percentage, 3-point, all of that. Manu was clutch, and he won them a couple games single-handedly. Duncan struggled in the 2005 Finals against that Detroit Pistons team, who was just a monstrous defensive team. I mean, I think that Detroit Pistons team is the greatest defensive team I have ever seen in my life. There's them. There's the 2008 Celtics, and then, I mean, obviously the Bulls and stuff of the 90s, but I wasn't around for that. But Duncan struggled. He shot like 40-something%, and he's getting paint touches, and he's averaging 20 points. And Ben Wallace and them did a great job. They did a good number on Duncan. Robert Horry ended up coming clutch in Game 7. And the rest is history. They win that title, but they don't win that title without Manu Ginobili. And a lot of people feel like that was Manu Ginobili's NBA Finals MVP to win. So, but I mean, it is what it is. Duncan has 3 Finals MVP. He does have 2 NBA MVPs, and I also think in 2003 he stole the MVP away from Kobe. And again, I think a lot of that had to do with Duncan being kind of like a one-man crew in his early career, because David Robinson in 2003 was on his way out. I believe that was David Robinson's last year. You had a young Tony Parker and a young Ginobili coming in. So it was Duncan's team. It was his show, and he was able to win 50-something games and get the Spurs to the playoffs. And he had pretty good stats. He averaged 25 points, I think 11 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks. But that was the year Kobe, after winning 3 straight titles, Kobe came back in 2003 and had 10 straight 40-point games. Shaq was out for 17 games, and Kobe dominated. And Kobe averaged 30, shot career highs all across the board, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals. Lakers won 50-something games. And now they did lose to the Spurs that year. So you got to say Duncan went head up and was able to beat Kobe and Shaq. And that's the thing with Duncan, why I put him a little bit higher than Shaq, because Duncan used to show his ass in those early Lakers series, man. He swept the Lakers in 99, embarrassed Shaq. And then in 2003, he was able to be a three-peat. Duncan has stopped the Lakers from potentially winning, really reeling off maybe 5 straight titles, but definitely 4 straight titles, right? If Duncan doesn't beat the Los Angeles Lakers in 2003, they go on to win their 4th straight title and beat the New Jersey Nets again in the landslide, right? So Duncan was able to prevent the Lakers from literally reeling off 4 straight titles. And so I have to give Duncan a lot of credit for being able to beat a team that is coming off 3 straight titles and still has a prime Kobe Bryant and a prime Shaquille O'Neal. Duncan beat them in 6 games, and he beat them pretty handily, right? So I have Duncan in at 6. He was able to win in multiple generations. He was able to win another title in 2014 against LeBron James. He's beat LeBron James. He's 2-1 in the finals against LeBron James. So Duncan has faced stiff competition in the Western Conference series and then also in the NBA Finals. I think there's a list out there of players that have beaten the most 50-win teams. You got Kobe in at number 1 with 25, and I think you have Duncan in at 20. So Kobe and Duncan, for their whole career, had to face stiff competition in that Western Conference. So yeah, that gives me Duncan in at number 6. I don't know how you guys feel, but yeah, I got Duncan in at number 6. And then at the number 5 slot, look who I have. Mr. Cookie Johnson himself, Mr. Cookie Monster. Now that's his wife. His wife's name's Cookie. But I shouldn't be playing with Magic like this. Let me find a better picture of Magic. I ain't gonna sit up here and play with Magic like that. That's disrespectful. Let me get it back on Duncan. I'm gonna try to find a better picture of Magic. That's just absolutely rude. I was just playing Magic. Let me replace this photo. But yeah, I got Magic in at number 5. He makes my top 10. He makes my top 5 players of all time. Magic has 5 titles. Like I said, he played 12 years. He has 5 titles. He has 3 Finals MVPs, 3 regular season MVPs, and again, he had a legendary rivalry between him and Bird. He's hit a game winner in the finals. His assist titles. I think he has 5 assist titles. And he literally revolutionized the NBA. I mean, we understand that Curry is revolutionizing the NBA, but you guys got to kind of respect and understand how this works. And at that time, there had never been a Magic Johnson either, right? So now it may seem normal to the general public, a bigger guard, a LeBron James type but that prototype, LeBron James prototype, that stems from a Magic Johnson. There's no LeBron James without a Magic Johnson. There's no Penny Hardaway without a Magic Johnson. There's no Luka Doncic without a Magic Johnson. So Magic Johnson literally revolutionized that position and the game itself in general. You think about the Showtime Lakers in the 80s, and I'm talking about putting asses in seats. Literally, between him and Bird, literally saving the NBA. We talk about what's going on in the WNBA as far as Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and how they're trying to kind of get some return on their investments and looking to start making some money. But you need box office players to put asses in seats. And here you got a Magic Johnson who was able to put asses in seats, him along with Dr. Jerry Buss, rest in peace to him, and getting the Showtime, the Laker girls, and kind of that whole 80s era, Coke and Jack Nicholson and Hollywood and the Forum. That used to be the place to be. And going to go see the Lakers used to be the thing to do. Magic reeled off back-to-back titles. Now, I will say the reason why I got Magic at 5 as opposed to top 3 or something like that is because I feel like the same critique that people give Kobe and Shaq for playing with each other for some reason in this weird way. Kobe, who on Bleacher Report list is 11, and Shaq, who is number 8 or 9. They're not allowed to play with each other, but Magic, who is number 4 on the list, and Kareem, who's number 3 on the list, they're allowed to play with each other. And I see more and more people picking up coverage on this, but I've been saying this for a long time. I'm like, How does it make sense that Kareem and Magic get to play together basically Magic's whole career? Magic never win anything without Kareem. No one ever bats an eye or holds that against him. And he also played with James Worthy, and he also played with Bob McAdoo and Michael Cooper. I mean, the Lakers was literally fucking loaded. They won a title and then got the #1 pick. You know what I'm saying? They won the title and got a high fucking draft pick. They got James Worthy in the draft the next year and had a dynastic run. So you talk about players that play with a lot of help. Magic Johnson's high on that list. He's had plenty of help during his career. That 87's Lakers team, that 84, 83, 82 to 87 Lakers team, that 5-year run, they had plenty of sufficient help. But Magic was able to get the job done, and he was a playoff performer. He actually rose. Now, he did have a few series. They called him Tragic Johnson. He did choke away a finals where he just wouldn't shoot. He couldn't shoot and shit like that. I think he ended up averaging like 11 points and 8 assists in one of those finals against Detroit. He got shut down pretty bad. But a lot of that is from kissing Isaiah Thomas and shit like that. But yeah, Magic typically he rose in the playoffs. Now, another critique that I do have of a Magic and a Kareem is like, again, in a short period of time in Kobe's career, he beat more 50-win teams than Magic Johnson beat in his whole playoff career. So, like I said, early on in that NBA in the 80s and stuff like that, your first round matchup might have won 40 games. Your second round matchup might have won 44 games. Then your third round matchup would have been lucky to win over 50 games, right? So you're getting to the Western Conference Finals and then you're finally facing actual legit competition. I think 50 wins is legit teams that usually typically have a chance to make some noise. Anything under 50 wins, you don't really have a shot of winning an NBA title or even getting to the conference finals. It's really rare to find a team. I think outside of the Houston Rockets, I don't even know, and any lockout season, I don't even know if there's any NBA team that has ever won a title or gone to the finals with less than 50 wins. And I'm talking modern NBA. Yeah, but I do got Magic Johnson in at number 5 on my list. And then coming in at number 4 is his teammate. It's the Cap. It's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He was the NBA's all-time leading scorer for over 40 years. You can't take that away from him at all. He held that record for a long, long time. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar held that record. He's a model of consistency, like I said, playing 20 seasons, and Kareem, man, when you talk accolades and stuff like that, he's right there. He's neck and neck with Jordan. I mean, you got Chop. He dominated college, changed the rules in college, won championships in college, then came straight to the league and got busy. He's won 6 NBA finals. He's won a title without Magic. So that's to me, that's the difference maker. I have to give him the edge over Magic because he was able to win without Magic. Now he did win with a prime Oscar Robinson. He won with a great Milwaukee team, but he was able to win. So Kareem has 6 MVPs, right? 6 regular season MVPs, which is the most of all time, more than Michael Jordan. So again, it just gives him to me a little edge. You cannot deny Kareem's accolades. I don't think you're going to see any list without Kareem in someone's top 3 to 5 at least. But if Kareem's not in your top 5 NBA basketball players of all time, then you really don't know what you're talking about. I mean, now granted, I talked about it at the top of the show, skill set and stuff like that, and you may have an issue with how Kareem played or the boring style that he played at, but he has an iconic shot in the sky hook. And his production is just to be undeniable. When you're telling me that there's a player out there that has the most points of all time until LeBron James was able to break that 2 years ago, he has the most points of all time. He was a two-way. He was a defender as well. He has 6 titles, just as much as Jordan, and he has 6 MVPs. What can I say, man? That's one of the top 2 or 3 basketball career resumes that you're ever going to hear. Really, resume. It's Jordan and Kareem when it comes to just basketball resume. I'm talking about accolades, titles, rings, MVPs, all that. Kareem he's that guy. So I edge Kareem as the greatest big man of all time because of his accolades and what he was able to do and accomplish on the court. And he also was a part of that dynastic Lakers run too. Now, on the flip side with Kareem, I do have to say a lot of people out there kind of overrate Kareem, trying to say some people might make the case he's better than Jordan. I seen Nick Wright a few years ago have LeBron at 1, Kareem at 2, Jordan at 3. That's just – he's nowhere near – he's not Jordan. Like, let's just get it. He's not Jordan, right? Because Kareem was able to dominate an NBA where the ABA was going on. That's first. When we talked about Julius Erving early on in the career, Moses Malone and all that kind of stuff early on at the top of the show, well, you got to understand in the NBA, Kareem was able to run around and dominate the NBA while the ABA was going on. And Kareem was also able to then on the later half of his career from year 15 to year 20, he was able to ride some coattails. Let's just be real. Y'all talk about Kobe riding coattails and Curry and KD and all these other players. Kareem was able to ride coattails. Now, he did win a Finals MVP late in his career at 40 years old, so that's great. But he averaged like 23 points, and he has the Finals where he's averaging 11 points and 13 points and shit like that, and just playing a nice role for that Showtime Lakers team. But, I mean, the accolades are the accolades. He does have 38,000 points. He has 6 MVPs, 6 titles. You can't deny that. So that's why I got Kareem there at number 4 on my list. And then coming in at number 3 on my list, who y'all think I got at number 3? Let me check if I got any comments anywhere before I reveal who number 3 is. Who's number 3 on my list? So coming in at number 3, drum roll, please. Yes. Yes. I have yours truly, Mr. LeBron Ramon James, coming in at number 3 on my list. What? I mean, there's nothing to be mad at. I got him at number 3 on my list. That's respectful. I can't disrespect this man's legacy. He's laid the blueprint for the modern NBA. It is what it is, and I got him at number 3. I think that's pretty respectful. I don't think that there's no disrespect in anything that I'm doing with LeBron James here. You guys think I'm disrespecting LeBron James? I don't believe so. So yeah, no, seriously. Outside of the Barbie suit and shit that he got going on in this horrible second half of his career, I've always maintained the position, and I think I'll always maintain this position to the day I die, or until some other things are revealed about LeBron. And I'll tell you guys when I'm done, when I get to number 1 and number 2, the difference, the separator between LeBron and the other 2 cats that I'm going to talk about. But LeBron James has had a spectacular career. When you talk about somebody coming straight out of high school, having a franchise and the keys to a franchise handed to him right away, never publicly making any mistakes, having a great family, and then actually performing on the court, we haven't seen anything like it. We have not seen anything like this phenomenon, which is LeBron James. When you mix that with the athletic prowess of LeBron James along with his basketball IQ, you have one of the top 3 to 5 to in some people's case, greatest player of all time, right? Now, LeBron James was able to he said this better not be photoshopped. LeBron James was able to make it to 10 NBA Finals appearances. By the way, Kareem went to 10 as well. I should mention that. LeBron's went to 10 Finals appearances. He did have that run where he went to 8 straight Finals appearances back to back to back, which is we haven't seen that since the Russell era, right? And then to do that in the modern NBA era, that's why I kind of got to give LeBron the edge over somebody like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And it's also for the reason that I'm about to list at the top, which is that, again, I've always maintained the position that Mike, Kobe, and LeBron are the 3 best players we've ever seen with our eyes, period. Now, when you start bringing in accolades and awards and legacy and impact and influence and all these other things, then you might be able to move these people around and stuff like that. I still got these people in my top 3, but when I talk about what I've seen, highlights, film, I mean hours and hours on end. I am a real big student of this game, and I've seen hours on end of all these players, and I know their ins and outs of their careers. I know the narratives that was around their careers at which points and all that good stuff. But when I think about, like I said at the top of the show, aliens coming down and say, give me your 3 best players that you've ever seen with your eyes. They're my 3 that I've seen with my eyes where I'm like, okay, these 3, and including LeBron James, I ain't never seen that like it. Now, people like a Bill Russell, Kareem, and stuff like that, they get air attacks from me because I think they are more, even a Magic Johnson, they're more conducive and more products of their era than they are of cross-platform era. I think Jordan, I think Kobe, I think Bron, you could drop them in any area. Well, if you dropped them off in the early era, they would obviously be witches. They would be outlawed. Then if you dropped them off in the 90s, they could be productive. If you drop them off in the 2000s, it's still Bron, it's still Bean, it's still Jordan. Their games translate, and just how fast they are, the athleticism that they obtain and have in their career. I think that's generational. Like a Magic Johnson and stuff like that. If he's playing in a 2000 era where everybody's more athletic and you got bigger guards and stuff like that, it may read different. Competition may be a little bit more stiffer for him, right? When you think of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, when he's in the league, if he comes in the 90s, and that's when the centers are really bubbling up, and you're dealing with Hakeem, you're dealing with Karl Malone, you're dealing with David Robinson's in, day out, you're dealing with a Shaquille O'Neal, a Patrick Ewing, day in and day out. I think it might be a little bit different for Kareem, right? So I just think that some of those other players are more products of their era, and they were able to benefit off of the era and that evolutionary track that there was during basketball during that period, the growth of basketball. But I think primetime basketball was from the 90s to up into the 2015 era, right? I think that 25-year period was like prime peak NBA when you're talking about ratings, you're talking about box office, you're talking about skill set as well, though. Because I think the 80s and 70s players, they're not obviously as skilled as the players today. So I just think the combination of all of that, the last 20, from 1990 to 2015 is the best era we've seen of a combination of all of those things. And I mean, LeBron James as the all-time leading scorer in the NBA, with over 41,000 points. He has 4 MVPs, 4 Finals MVPs, 4 titles, 10 appearances. Now, he does have a lot of blunders in his career. That's why I have him at 3, because I think that we just look at his highlights instead of his lowlights. I think the last couple bits of his tenure in LA, to me, has been disastrous. He has the bubble championship asterisk next to his name, which I think just doesn't age well with him. And I think it kind of bothers him. It doesn't sit well with him. So there's a lot of asterisks on his career. There's a lot of asterisks, but I've just got to say objectively from what he's done, what he's laid and stuff like that, he's one of the 3 greatest players that I've ever seen. So I got LeBron James at number 3. That's just me. I got LeBarbie at number 3. And then at number 2, it should come as no surprise to you guys. I gotta have my man Bean. And this is where the show kind of has to take its turn, right? Because it's obviously a controversial take. It's obviously a controversial take, as in Bleacher Report put him at number 11. And in the dissertation that Bleacher Report wrote, if you've seen, they said he went as low as 418, and then he went as high as top 4. That's the highest he was ranked by Billboard Bleacher Report staff. The lowest he was ranked was 18. When you talk to actual NBA players, when you talk to actual NBA heads and pundits and basketball aficionados, people that's watched the sports and stuff like that, it's very rare you get a list without Kobe Bryant in the top 5, at least top 3 to top 5. You might see him as high as number 2. I think only Kobe actually, his biggest stands out there will put him at number 1. I can't objectively, and listen, this is my favorite player of all time. This is actually my favorite role model of all time. Before it was popular to be screaming Mamba mentality and stuff like that, I've done the knowledge on Mr. Bean Bryant, right? So I just can't objectively put him over his predecessor. I can't objectively put him over Jordan. But his career accolades read as 5 NBA titles, which is more than LeBron James. Same amount as Magic. 2 Finals MVP, which is more than Stephen Curry, which I don't know how Curry edges him, but he has more Finals MVPs. He has 1 MVP. So the accolades with Kobe isn't as gaudy as some of these other people I've listed. But when you start talking about all NBA appearances, all two-way players, all defensive, and what I've seen on the court, this man to me is the greatest when it comes. He's the best basketball player I've ever seen in my life, and I mean bar none. I'm talking about from the inception of this sport to today. I haven't seen a better basketball player play on a basketball court than Kobe Bryant. I mean, from the fundamentals, the skill set, mixed with the mentality, mixed with the the sheer relentlessness. I haven't seen a combination of all that together. Now, I've seen it in Jordan. I've seen it packaged in Jordan. I just don't think – I think Jordan was really skilled. I think, to me, it's Kobe and Mike on an A1 or A1A, 1B. 1A, 1B. Yeah, 1A, 1B. And then I think it's the rest. And I think they're the two greatest scorers that the league has ever seen. And I don't even think it's close. This whole idea that there's a Kevin Durant out there that belongs in the discussion when he don't think he belongs in the discussion, a Carmelo Anthony, a LeBron James, a Kareem. None of these players score like a Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan. They just don't. They just don't. People are lucky. Here's the difference between a lot of those other players, and I said this when talking about Larry Bird and stuff. With a person like Kobe and Michael Jordan, y'all better be lucky that their intention and their want to was only really veered around winning championships. Because if it was chasing stats, boy, y'all would have a long day with these two scorers. They're not only did they have the bag, the tool bag, and every fucking tool that you need in the bag to score, but they also have the relentlessness. And that's why they're the most explosive scorers that the sport has ever seen. Outside of Wilt Chamberlain, right? When you think of 50-point games, you got Jordan at 31, you got Kobe at 25, 50-point games. That's more than Curry, LeBron, and Stephen Curry put together. Kobe has more 50-point games than them put together. Okay, you think 60-point games. Kobe has 5, which is more than Jordan, more than LeBron, more than KD, more than Curry. Curry has 2, Bron has 1, KD has none, Jordan has 4. You know, Kobe has 6 60-point games, right? Or 5. Then you think Kobe has an 81-point game. Kobe legitimately could have scored 70 or 80 twice, 2 or 3 times, right? He scored 60 in 3 quarters, and then he's also done it again. He scored 56 in 3 quarters. He could have done it again. He's outscored a whole NBA franchise that went on to the NBA Finals, not the bum Raptors. I mean, that same year, that same NBA season, he outscored the Dallas Mavericks, who went on to the NBA Finals that year. He outscored them in 3 quarters. He had 63. They had 50-something. Okay? So through 3 quarters, this man was beating the whole NBA team. This man. So I'm talking about the ability, the scoring ability of these two players, but specifically we're talking about Kobe Bryant, you know, and then you couple that with his tenacity, his ability on defense. He's an all-NBA defender 12 times, all first-team NBA defender a lot of times, most guard selections of all time. And people just kind of discount the fact when you're talking about prototypes, yeah, today the popular prototype is people, the 3-and-D guy, right? People that can shoot. Then there's an era where the prototype was like a LeBron James type 3-4 man who can, you know, give you the 28, 8 and 8 that can pass and rebound and assist and get you flirt with triple doubles. But this prototype here has been shown to win at least 11 titles, right? And then you got somebody like Shea Gill, SGA, and Dwayne Wade, who has 4 titles, or 3 titles, I should say. Dwayne Wade has 3 titles, and SGA, who just reeled off a title, right? And those are two-way wing players. So this kind of prototype, to me, is the most underrated prototype that there is out there. And I'm talking about a 2-way scorer and a 2-way player, right? Or a 3-level scorer, 2-way player. And that means they could score from anywhere on the court. Kobe's bag is, limitless. And he was able to lock down the best perimeter player on the other team night in and night out. And Jeff T., your comments out there are so foolish and so rudimentary, talking about Kobe wasn't guarding this and Kobe wasn't guarding that. Fuck, where the fuck was you? First off, I was around. Now you was in the league, but I was around that time, and yeah, the fuck he was. Kobe was guarding the Chris Pauls of the world, and he talking about they had Metta World Peace. Metta World Peace came during our last title, and then that last iteration of Kobe Bryant as we knew him. But before that, before we got our Metta World Peace, and even when we had Metta World Peace was not guarding fast, quick guards, and neither was Derek Fisher. That is a lie. Kobe guarded Rondo during the NBA Finals. Kobe guarded Chris Paul. Kobe guarded Darren Williams. Like, that was Kobe Bryant's matchup series after series after series. So, yeah, this guy has 33,000 points. He has 6,000 rebounds, 6,000 assists, which is both more than Michael Jordan. He has more points, more rebounds, more assists than Michael Jordan. But, of course, longevity only matters when we're talking about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Tim Duncan, and LeBron James. When it's Kobe's longevity, it doesn't count. He played 20 years. Of course he does. But when it's everybody else's longevity, it counts. But Kobe having all these all-NBA appearances and all-defensive appearances, it's just a longevity award. But when it's everybody else, we account it and we don't bat an eye. So That's all nincompoop for me. That's all poppycock. Kobe Bryant, to me, like I said, with 33,000 points, and that's been stifled early on in his career, and that's facing injuries his last 4 seasons. His last 4 seasons, Kobe Bryant was on the vine. His last 3 to 4 seasons, Kobe Bryant played 11 games, 17 games, 47 games. He barely was playing his last couple of years, and he still managed to be in the 30,000 club. And he literally probably shorted himself at least another 4,000 to 5,000 points on the career, just due to injuries. And then obviously early on in his career, a different league being the first guard out of high school like that during the 90s era, it was like a earn it type of deal. How it used to be in high school and junior high and stuff like that, where it's like, the coach used to have to make you earn it and shit like that. And you'll be redshirted and you'll have to sit underneath some veteran guards for a couple years until you get some legs underneath you and then you can play. That's essentially what happened with Kobe Bryant's career. So I got him at number 2. He's honestly, with my own eyes, he's the best player I've ever seen. The accolades are not there. I do have to be objective. The accolades are not there for Mr. Kobe Bryant when you're talking about MVP awards and honors and stuff like that. Now, we do know he was robbed of mad awards, but he faced a rape allegation, which kind of stifled a lot of his career, a lot of brand deals and stuff like that, which would have elevated him and put him in a different echelon. The NBA kind of fought against Kobe Bryant until they were able to market him, and he signed to Nike, and they were able to remarket Kobe Bryant as this different figure. But the NBA kind of fought against him up until that point. So I do have to be objective when it comes to that, and that kind of steers him away out of the top spot to me. But when you're talking about if we were to drop these players off at Rutgers Park or on the court, I think Kobe's busting on their ass. That's just me. And this whole new narrative of Kobe and Duncan, stop it, man. I was around. Stop it. Duncan, like I said, from 99 to 05, really 99 to 03, you can make a case Duncan was the better player. But from 03 to 2012, no case to be made. So that's a 9-year period that Kobe was unanimously a better player than Duncan on any list, on any metric. A 9-year versus Duncan from 99 to 03, and one of those seasons Kobe was on the bench. That's a 3-year run where Duncan, you can make a case Duncan was the better player. But I don't got Duncan being better than Kobe Bryant in 01 or 02 or 03, me personally. I think Duncan did what he needed to do. But I also know that in 2004, Duncan lost Olympic gold medal in bronze. It got bronze, and he was supposed to be the leader and the best player on that team coming off of a championship. And I don't remember that being the case. I don't remember people even acknowledging him as such. So I think Duncan does get a lot of revisionist history right now at this point, especially when it comes to the conversation between him and Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant and him also faced off in the playoffs more than Magic Johnson and Larry Bird and Steph Curry and LeBron James did. And they faced off 6 times, and Kobe edged them out 4-2. And please save the whole Shaq thing, because Kobe Bryant was the best player on the floor in most of those series. We have the stats to back it up. We have the footage to back it up. We have the analysts to back it up. We remember the series. It just is what it is. And Kobe was also closing those games out a lot of times. So I got Kobe over Duncan. I got Kobe over Bron. I got Kobe over Magic, just strictly due to the sheer ability of Kobe Bryant on the floor, and over Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for that same reason. And then coming in at number 1, we don't got to waste no time. I mean, we all know number 1 by a good long shot is Mr. Michael Jeffrey Jordan, Mr. Yellow Eyes himself. He can drink all the liquor in the world. He can gamble away his father all he wants. He can gamble away his first son's chance of ever being successful, and his sons can do coke and do everything and pick up some of their father's drug habits. But it does not take away from the fact that this is the greatest basketball player we've ever seen, the greatest basketball player we've ever seen on a basketball court. I mean, we know the accolades read as 6 MVPs, 6 finals MVPs, 5 regular season MVPs, 6 titles, 6-0 in the championship round, 2 3-peats. Oh, by the way, I do want to say, for my case with Shaq and Kobe, not only was it the last NBA franchise to win 3 straight titles, but the last national sports team to win 3 straight titles, I'm talking across baseball, football, all that, is the 2000 to 2002 Los Angeles Lakers. So, and yes, Shaq won finals MVPs, but Kobe Bryant played a hell of a role during those runs, and he accounted for more total points for the Lakers than Shaq did during those runs. And if you include the whole playoffs and stuff like that, not just the finals, because people somehow have this bad ideology that only the finals matter, but I guess getting to the finals don't matter unless you're LeBron James. So Kobe Bryant en route to get into the NBA finals for those 3-year periods was a lot of times the Lakers' best player and a lot of times the Lakers' closer. So that's what I'm saying. You got to give credit where it's due. Kobe and them being the last professional sports franchise to win 3 straight titles. That's a really tough. That's a big feat in history that we don't champion enough. So, anyways, but Michael Jordan had 2 of those 3-peats. Michael Jordan 3-peated twice. Okay, twice. He wins 3 straight, retire, comes back and wins 3 straight again. That the case is closed, right? He wins all finals MVPs on all of them. He's the best player in the league for a 13-year stretch, undisputed. Jordan comes in at 84, and I think by 86, 87, he's clear-cut, unanimously the best player in the league. That goes on from 87 until 98. That's an 11-year stretch, 12-year stretch. Even when he was retired, he was the best player in the league. I mean, Jordan could walk on the court. He was just the best player in the league, and everybody knew it. It was Jordan and then a big gap in the rest of everybody. Even LeBron really didn't have a run like that. Kobe didn't really have a run like that to where they were unanimously the best player in the league. I mean, unanimously. I mean, like there's 0 people out there that really thought Hakeem was better than Jordan, Ewing was better than Jordan, Shaq, Karl Malone. Now, them cats might have won MVPs and stuff like that, but nobody on earth thought that they were a better basketball player than Michael Jordan. So for that 10-year, that decade, Jordan, not only he just was greedy, he was the greediest sports figure we've ever seen. Not even Tom Brady comes close. I mean, Jordan wanted it all. Jordan got it all. He got all the titles. He got all the MVPs. He had 10 scoring titles in that period too, guys. I mean, so all 10 years, I'm the best scorer in the league. I'm the best 2-way player in the league. I'm just dominant. I'm winning all the titles. I'm getting all the shine. I got all the money. I got all the commercials. I got all the movies. Everything you can think of from a branding aspect, from a marketing aspect, global impact, influence. Jordan checks all the boxes. We ain't even talking about his style and how he broke in the style. We ain't even talking about his shoes and the influence on that, the sneaker game and all of that stuff, man. It's really not even close. And for any Bron fans out there that kind of think it's close, it's just blasphemy. It's blasphemy. We're talking about somebody who literally is creating the lane for somebody like a LeBron James who can try to be an imitation of a Jordan, or even a Kobe Bryant who has obviously imitated a lot of Jordan's moves and the way Jordan went about his career, even teaming up with Phil Jackson and the triangle offense and stuff like that. But Jordan is the originator. You know what I'm saying? And it's not one of those cases where he's the originator and somebody comes in and really kind of does it better than him, but we got to give credit to the originator for being the originator. No, this is one of those cases where he's the originator and he has everything to back it up that he's still better than everybody. You know what I'm saying? So Jordan comes in at number 1, like I said, 6 MVPs, 6 finals appearances, 6 wins, 32,000 points, assists, the rebounds, the steals. He had mad steal titles. He did win a Defensive Player of the Year back in '87. I think he had the scoring title, the Defensive Player of the Year, the MVP. Jordan also did that scoring title, steal title, dunk champion, finals MVP, all that in the same year. I mean, and then like I said, his playoff stats are just stupid, man. He's the all-time leading scorer in the NBA as far as averages goes in the regular season and also in the postseason. Finals, all-time leading scorer at an average of 33 and a half points a game in the NBA Finals appearances. That 3-year period that I talked about when we talked about Shaquille O'Neal, from 90 to 93, Jordan literally was averaging about 37 points a game, maybe 7 rebounds and close to 10 assists in an NBA final span over 3 years where you win 3 straight titles. I mean, it just don't get no better than that. So, this is all while being the most marketable player in the league and literally carrying and breathing life into the sport. So, to me, it's a long shot for anybody to even reach the levels of Jordan. And that's just not even in basketball. That's in any sport in general. I think Jordan still remains as the golden standard across all platforms in sports on GOAT GOAT athletes. There's Jordan, and then there's everybody else. So that's my top 10 list of all time. Like I said at the top, I really struggle between Curry and Hakeem. Somebody could convince me that Curry should crack the top 10 really, really soon. I just think his lack of defensive prowess and being hunted on defense kind of omits him for me. And then, like I said, the dunking over Kobe thing to me is ridiculous. Kareem and Magic kind of get the benefit off of each other, and they don't face slander for playing with each other most of their career. Kobe doesn't have all the accolades that some of the other greats have, but pure skill set, impact, influence on the game. There's nobody outside of a Jordan to me that's better. And then you got LeBron James, who kind of encompasses. He's kind of like a mixture of all of these guys that we're talking about outside of the big men. He's kind of like a blend of all of those, and then he has the accolades. He has the stats to back it up. I can't admit him as much as I want to admit him from my top three. I can't admit him from my top three, not just yet. There is something that will be coming out about LeBron James that I think will do damaging things to his legacy, and then we'll have to look at it a little bit under the light. But until then, I have to be objective and just kind of list out my objective top 10. This isn't my favorite top 10 players. This isn't the top 10 scorers or the top 10 bucket getters or the top 10 best resumes or anything like that. This, to me, is the top 10 greatest players when you talk about name recognition globally. When you think of NBA basketball, these are the top 10 greatest players that I think that we have ever come across. And that's kind of my list. So I'm glad that I did this list. I'm glad you guys kind of hung out with me to do this list. Barely anybody was commenting. I had a lot of eyes on me, but everybody was being scared to comment. So I guess I'll wait till you guys drop comments in the chat and stuff like that later on when you guys watch the video back. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about my top 10. I would love to hear your guys' top 10. I would have loved to have a little bit more discourse and a little bit more debate on my top 10 and your guys' top 10, but we might save that for another day. But this is your host, Lord of Lips, and I am signing out. Peace.